Hello and welcome to Blue Army TV, and look, what an absolutely amazing way to start the January transfer window. It's been a bumper day, probably uploading this the day after, but, you know, a triple signing's never something to be, to turn your nose up at. And look, it's three signings that, if Paul Simpson thinks they're great signings, I think they are too. And look, some are more expected than others. I'll go through them in order as they were announced. And that starts things off with Harrison Neal, a player who I'm quite excited about, apart from the fact that his name is upside down. He never trust people with first names as last names and last names as first names. But apart from that, an exciting young midfielder from Sheffield United. Yes, he hasn't quite had the start of the season you'd want at Stevenage, but if you look at him at Barra last season, he's definitely going to have to change that Twitter profile picture of him in a Barra shirt. I think it could be an absolutely quality signing, and I always look at opposition fans who, whenever we sign a player, I look at the reaction from the club we've signed him from, and Sheffield United fans aren't happy to see him go. According to them, he had an absolutely fantastic pre-season with them before going out on loan, and a lot of their fans seem to think that he was one for the future, that he would be a future star in that team. I believe we haven't paid a fee for him. I believe there will be a lot of add-ons if we were to sell him, similar to the Charlie Wyke deal that we had a while back. But, you know, 22 years old, there's still a lot of room to grow, and already having an excellent first team, an excellent year in first team football at Barra last season, and some League One experience already this season with a high-flying Stevenage team. He's you know, it was a surprise. I wasn't expecting this signing to happen, and you know, there was some small murmurs, but you can't really trust anything on Twitter. And everyone kind of thought it would be a loan deal. So to see this come in as a 2.5-year deal, it reminds me a lot of the Alfie McCann signing. Not just in profile of player, you know, a player coming from a Premier League academy, although Leeds have been relegated to the Championship, but the same kind of thing anyways. That had been out on loan and impressed in League 2, but hadn't made the step up to League 1 yet, and we signed them on a permanent deal. Now look, Alfie McCann started with a loan, of course, but even in the style of player they are, it's that, you know, Alfie McCann's been changed since we got him, but when he was first signed, he was touted as this sort of defensive midfield player who was, you know, he would stand, take the ball off the back line, and pass it forward with some brilliant passing. Now, Alfie McCann, obviously being trained under Bielsa, he was brilliant. He's been proved to be brilliant in the press, and we've used him more as an attacking player. But Harrison Neal, he's very similar to that. He's played his role as a defensive midfielder, but can be pushed a bit forward into a number 8 role, as far as I understand. Now, how Simpson decides to use him, we're yet to see, and I'm excited to see how this one goes, because offering such a large contract shows that, you know, Simo must have some faith in him, and Greg Abbott as well, of course, with him being head of recruitment. But you know, it was a good one to start the transfer window off. An experienced lower league player, still in the early stages of their career, with plenty of room to improve on, and hopefully either become a club legend or we get some good money for him in a couple of years' time when he turns out to be world class. And hopefully he can do his part in keeping us up this season. Moving on to a loan signing, it was Sean Green, who came from Crystal Palace. You know, Luke Plange went back to Palace. We got a centre-back in return by the looks of things in terms of the loan market. And look, Simpson has friends at Crystal Palace. That's a well-known fact. But yeah, it's one that I'm not sure about, and it's one that I'm sure a lot of people aren't sure about. He's Irish. He has played in the Irish leagues. But if we're talking about his experience in England, coming from Palace, he hasn't really played that much football. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Not to say that I do all my research on Wikipedia, but he hasn't really gone out on loan much. He's only 19. This is going to be his first big loan move. But look, we need backup in the centre-back positions, and the centre-back isn't an area really that you look at that team and you think that's where we need to strengthen. Obviously, we could do with strengthening every area of the pitch, but if you look at our problem positions, you think strikers, which we're going to go on and talk about, you think the goalkeeper, and you possibly think the midfield, with a lot of injuries happening there, especially with the injury of Callum Guy. So a centre-back signing is a bit of a surprise, and it's this kind of profile you'd expect from a centre-back signing in January, where, look, Sean Green could come in and prove me absolutely wrong, but I'd imagine his role, at least to start off with, will be as backup to the likes of John Mellish or the likes of Sam Lavelle or the likes of Huntington when he comes back from his injury. But yeah, a lot of people could have been forgiven for thinking Carlisle were going to round the day off with just them two unexpected signings, but to finish one off with one that we kind of expected a little bit more, they re-announced the signing of Luke Armstrong last in the day, which, yes, I'm just happy to see it get done. It was leaked as a different signing. They kind of teased it as a new signing, so to announce a player that they'd already announced that we've reached an agreement to sign, maybe wasn't the news people were looking for from that tweet, but it's a 3.5-year deal for who I think is a brilliant striker for a club record transfer fee in an area we really, really need up top, especially with, the likes of Luke Plange going back, who weren't good enough for this level. And yeah, look, this is an absolutely fantastic signing. I think Wrexham, the work they've done down there, the fact that they had signed him, and they obviously wanted him because they announced him as a player. They never seem to get a signing wrong, Wrexham. I think that's fair to say. I think the work they do at Wrexham is absolutely fantastic in terms of recruiting players. So the fact that they wanted him, it fills me with confidence, especially from what I've seen. He always seemed to score against Carlisle, and it's nice to finally get him in a Carlisle shirt for once. He scored more goals than all of our strikers combined last season. It's just a quality addition that we needed, and it rounded off the day perfectly well, especially with seeing a 3.5-year deal, which is something as Carlisle fans we're not really used to. I think I'm more used to the 6-month Mark Howards or the Jamie Devitt leaving because we couldn't offer him more than a 1-year contract. They're the kind of deals I'm used to as a Carlisle fan. So these 3 signings, especially, I think all of them could go down as good signings. I think Sean Green's definitely the more we don't know enough about him yet to make a full judgment on whether it's a good signing or not. But the other 2, I think, will come in and will go probably straight into the starting 11. Who for? I don't know, and that's what we're going to have to work out. Maybe, Simpson's wanting more signings. I expect them both to play at Exeter, is what I'm trying to say. I think Armstrong will probably start. I don't think Green will start, and I'm a bit 50-50 as to whether Harrison Neal will start. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But regardless, 3 good signings that we need. Paul Simpson's talked about the need to strengthen in January, and he's started the month off great, especially with him saying he wants another 3 or 4 more. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But yeah, let me know what you think of these signs in the comments. There's been very positive reaction online from what I've seen, but I'd love to know what the YouTube comments think. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and in a bit.